morning, everyone.
Hello everyone, good morning. So thanks for joining this session. Today we are going to be focusing on how you can unlock the power of data using modern data and analytics platform. So I am Ashwath Raj. I manage the pre-sales for South India, Click, and this is Joravar. He manages the sales for APAC region from Artha. So what is Click? Who are we? So we have been in the data space for the last 30 years. We just celebrated the birthday of the company last week, I guess. We have primarily been known to focus on the data analytics space, but now we have branched out into the data integration space as well. So with our rich experience in data, we have overall 30,000 customers across the globe and across the industries. You name the big players in each industry, and we are there for one use case or the another. We really pride in the fact that we have been a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for BI. We have been a leader for 13 consecutive years in a row. So that kind of shows our commitment, the R&D that we do to ensure that we meet the expectations of the market, which it continuously keeps evolving. We are growing very fast, especially in the data integration market with our new addition. I'll be talking about that today. And specific to India, we are headquartered here in Bangalore. Our R&D team as well as support and sales team is based out of here. And we have several partners, just like Artha, who help to deliver our solutions to our customers. Now, the data integration story for Click came through our acquisition of a company called Attunity, which has been there in the data integration market for more than 2 decades. So we brought in Attunity and integrated into our product portfolio. And today's focus is mainly going to be on the data integration, more on the data replication side also, how we do it. Now, this is a proven tool. As I said, it has been there in the market for 2 decades. And we have migrated more than 800,000 databases to cloud or into other on-premise databases. We have very large customers. Just to name some of them, we have Airbus in manufacturing. We have Jaguar Land Rover, again from automotive. Then we have customers like Vanguard, who was into wealth management, Generali and Swiss Life France, who are into big players of insurance in Europe, and several others. So I'll be talking more about that in the subsequent slides. So Click Cloud Data Integration is going to be the focus of topic today. And I always believe that when you start something, you need to say why. And I learned that from my maths teacher, because back in school, when I was taught integration and differentiation, I never understood what it is. I was just taught that, write these equations, and I still don't remember any of it. But later when I checked on internet that what are all its applications, I was really fascinated. And now I feel bad that I didn't learn more of it. But anyway, so let's start with the why. Why is the data integration? What are the use cases with it, right? Where we are seeing the market moving towards, these are the different spaces that we see. First is the data lake migration that I can say, or bringing the data into data lake. Many of the customers, see, it's not like in olden days, right, where you have one data source from where the data flows, and then you use it for your analytics use cases. There are multiple data sources that are present with with different customers. Now you need a layer where all the data needs to be readily available so that you can use it for your downstream analytics applications. Rather than going and finding across 50 different sources that where do I get the data for customer churn, where do I get the data for supply chain management. Instead of that, you need a layer to bring all the data together so that you can later use it for your analytics purpose. So that's where we see a lot of customers who are moving their data from their on-premise or core transaction systems or ERP or CRM systems. They bring all the data together into layers like all the hyperscalers like S3, ADLS, then the GCP platforms, Snowflake, Databricks. So these are all the different platforms where they're bringing the data first, and then they're using it for their downstream applications. The same goes for cloud data warehouses as well, like I said about Snowflake. The second piece, and I think this is the most interesting piece that we have found in the market, is data that is there in SAP. So I'm sure you all would agree, SAP is used by some of the very large customers across the globe, right? Now, earlier they were fine with just using SAP as a data source where they had their ERP or whatever the systems they had, but they also now have data that is feeding from other data sources. let's say they have Salesforce for their sales team, some other databases or some other module for, let's say, supply chain management, right? Now a requirement comes where you need to get the data from SAP and also integrate it with non-SAP data sources so that you can get a unified view of your entire operations. So that is where that bringing of the data together from multiple sources, including SAP, comes into the picture. The third place where it comes is, and this is the example I was also telling one customer earlier, Vanguard. So they were using actually a mainframe system. Mainframe is still being used by a lot of banks, and that's a huge opportunity. Mainframe systems do not really keep up with the complex analytics use cases that are out there right now. So customers need to offset the data from mainframe into some other target so that that system can act as a source for their analytics needs. So what Vanguard also did with our solution was they moved their data from mainframe into complete AWS stack. In real time, it was a massive, massive data volumes. It was around, they were moving more than 60 million data changes per hour. So through that, they were able to feed the data to their other downstream analytics cases. So we see a lot of opportunity when it comes to the SAP data as well as to the modernization of the data analytics, the data pipelines when it comes to mainframes. And then finally, the CDC streaming. This is a very interesting case because many of the customers now use platforms like a distribution platform, like they use it like Kafka, or they also need the real-time data that is feeding into, let's say, their supply chain analytics or into their customer portal. I'll give you a simple use case. One of the very large insurance players I was telling you earlier about, Swiss Life Frank, they had a challenge where their data was coming from multiple source systems and they were all feeding that data into a portal. Now, when you log into a portal A, the information was different. When you log into portal B, the information was different. So there were disparate data sources. There was no single view of data. So the customers were confused that, which is the right information? Which portal gives the right information? So that's where they again use a solution like Replicate to unify all the data sources together so that one single source of truth can be given to all the different targets. Similarly, Airbus that I was telling you about, they had their manufacturing spread across Europe. They have 4 plants spread across 4 countries. So they needed to bring all the data together so that they can monitor the entire manufacturing line. So that's another use case for the data replication. So fundamentally, these are some of the challenges that we have seen or the use cases where data integration is required. How is it solved? Well, we call this a modern data stack now. And if you do a Google search of what is a modern data stack, then you get this kind of result, right? So many different solutions are there. Now, what are the components of it? Well, let's take an example or answer from ChatGPT. When you ask ChatGPT what is a modern data stack, it says it's a collection of tools that work together so that you can build your data pipeline. Now, after you make a research online about what is this modern data stack to solve all the data integration use cases we saw earlier, you'll see a picture like this that shows one layer that does the data ingestion from all your different sources. It then lands the data into a data lake or into a data warehouse. Then you do the data transformation, and that data is finally put into a layer like catalog. From catalog, it goes into a visualization layer, and then if required, a reverse ETL also happens. On top of this, you have an orchestration tool that kind of monitors or you orchestrate the entire tune, everything that happens over here. So there are multiple moving parts present over here. Now, what is the challenge that comes with this? When we talk about the modern data stack, sometimes we feel that, okay, there are some proven open source platforms which I can use for each of these components. What we saw in the earlier slide, these different components. Well, people feel that some of the open source platforms that are out there, maybe I'll do my replication, but I'll use the data transformation using, let's say, some open source platform. This indirectly affects your time to market. And let me tell you how. If you are having different tools for each of the components that I showed you, ingestion there is a tool, then for transformation there is another tool, orchestration there is a different tool. When you have different tools, that means there are different teams that are working in silos. And once that work is done, you need to stitch it all together, right? So this severely affects the time to market and also the agility that comes along with it. Let's say there's a new requirement that comes into the picture. That means the team A, B, C, D, who are all working independently, they all need to make the changes, which will again take a lot of time and lot of effort. So the agility is greatly, greatly reduced when you are using, let's say, an open source kind of platform to do the entire data pipeline stack. And the most important of all is, see, we can take multiple tools, but if you are not able to deploy it within the time you need, then it is as good as not having it, right? So that's where another important factor that comes is, when you are going for this modern data stack with kind of open source kind of platforms, it takes a lot of time to first build, stitch it all together, deploy, and then make it agile. And this will indirectly affect the time it takes for you to complete the entire project. So these challenge set, I'll give you a very quick example. If each of these teams are using their own set of tools, then they all work in their own silos. Then once the development is done, all the data or all the orchestration that they have done, it needs to come together, because there is no one single layer where all this data can come together. That is a transformation layer and the ingestion layer, etc. So another big challenge that comes is fragile pipelines. So let's say one of your data stack, the individual tool, breaks for some reason. That is going to have a effect on the other applications as well. So basically this entire stack, when you have multiple things stacked together, like what you saw in the previous slide, right? On the left hand side, if you want to have a tea, why do you need so many cups? You just take one glass, put your tea and have it. If you're having multiple layers, that's going to cause challenge for you at some layer or the other. So how are we planning to mitigate this? So that's where we have introduced the Qlik Cloud Data Integration. So Qlik Cloud Data Integration enables you to bring the data in real time, to unify the data from multiple sources, do the data transformation, and also finally put it into a catalog layer so that it is ready for analytics use cases. How do we do that? So again, coming back to the modern stack, right? The cloud data integration, what we have built, first, like I said, it does the real-time data movement. It can connect to multiple data sources. It can be, like I said, any typical RDBMSs out there, SQL Server, MySQL, etc. Then you can also connect to a NoSQL like MongoDB. You can connect to SAP sources, whether it's HANA, ECC. You can connect to also apps, cloud apps like ServiceNow, Jira, etc. So you can bring all that data together in real time and deliver it into your target system. And now the target could be any of the hyperscaler platforms that are out there. Once you land the data into your target system, then comes the data transformation layer, where you can define your own logics to stitch all the data together. Let's say you have data from ServiceNow, data from SAP, all that you need to bring it together, you can do it in this one unified layer. You have the flexibility to also write your own custom SQL in case you want to do that data transformation. That we do through a push-down approach. Then comes the integrated data and lineage catalog. See, we do all these exercises of bringing data together, data transformation, and at the end, if you are not able to find the data set, or even if you are finding the right data set, let's say that doesn't have the required quality, there are some missing values, or someone, let's say, chose a test data set and not a production ready data set, that again defeats the whole purpose of modernizing your analytics, right? That's where the catalog becomes an important part that ensures that your IT team or the business team, whoever is using the data for, let's say, visualization or for ML kind of layer, they know what is the data that they are looking at. What are the fields in the data set? The description of the data, whether it's a gold standard data set, it is production ready data or not. So it becomes think of it like an e-commerce shopping experience, where you just search for something in a search bar, and then all the relevant data is automatically coming, right? So that's the data lineage catalog. And of course, the automated data pipelines, you can very quickly build it. It's all through a simple GUI layer, so that time to develop and build is very, very quick. And this entire operation, you can see there are different components here, right? Ingestion, transformation, then there is a catalog. All this can be orchestrated from one single layer, rather than having separate orchestration layer for each. So you have a unified view to do all these operations. Now, what makes us different in the market? Well, like I said, we are a proven tool. The engine behind the scene, the Qlik Replicate, it has been there in the market for more than 2 decades. More than half of the Fortune 100 companies, they use the replicate solution that we have. And like I said, we have migrated more than 800,000 databases to different cloud platforms as well. Now, coming to the specifics, we do the CDC, that is a real-time data capture, through something called log sniffing. We capture all the changes by scanning the transactional log so that there is no impact on your source database. In fact, we have one customer called BTPN Bank in Indonesia. You can check it out now itself if you want. They actually run replicate or our replication solution directly on their core transactional system itself, a banking transaction system. And we are able to do that because we don't add any load onto the source database. Our key differentiator that comes again over here is that we don't require any agents. We don't require any agents to be installed on the source database or the target database to facilitate this real-time data capture. Why this becomes important again is if you have agents, that is going to add load, more load to your source database or to your target database. But all you require is just set up the connection and we'll be able to do the data replication. The high performance data gateway, basically that's the engine. Like I said, it can process massive volumes of data in real time. To give you an example, one of a very large credit lender in China, the logs that they produce, they move from Oracle to Oracle. The source Oracle was a transaction system. They wanted to offload it into a different Oracle system. So just the log size that they generate per day was 10 terabytes. And till now, they have moved more than 600 tables in real time, more than 25 terabytes of data. Similarly, another customer called Fanatics, they are into retail. They have moved more than 100 terabytes of data into a target like S3. So, and another customer, a very interesting case is one of the payment gateway systems in UK. They actually use Replicate to feed the data into a distribution layer in real time, which in turn feeds it into a machine learning layer that detects whether it's a fraudulent transaction or not. And there the volume goes like almost 1,000 transactions per second. So in terms of handling very large data volumes for ingestion, we have done that. And tying back to the previous point that I said, right? Instead of having one cup of tea, one cup for having tea, why do you need to have multiple cups, right? So that's what we are doing over here. One platform to integrate all these different components of the data pipeline. And we are platform agnostic, which means you can deploy on any cloud. That is one option. Then you can also deploy it within your network and firewall. That becomes very important, especially in India, because if you take industries like insurance or banking, you have regulations where the data should not leave India, right? And then there is also some requirements where you can't really take the data out of your network and move it to the target system. So we have mechanisms to handle that as well. So we are not taking the data into a specific, any of the cloud platforms outside your network and doing the replication. We can handle all of that within your network itself. And final point is, you can very quickly deploy it. It's a no-code platform. You don't require a command line prompt kind of screen to write codes and maintain it for a long time. So that's where the agility of the solution also comes into the picture. So quickly giving an overview, the first step is we do the real-time data movement. You can see the sample pipelines over here. Once the data from the source is brought into the target, whether a data lake or a cloud data warehouse, then we can do the data transformations and modeling. You can use the inbuilt functions that are available, or you can also use your own custom SQL to do the data transformation, and it does the push down on the database to do the data transformation. Once the data is ready for analytics, it can then be put into a catalog layer where the users can see the lineage of the data to get confidence in data. Where is the data coming from? Which is the source from where the data is coming from? They'll be able to look at the lineage. They'll also be able to understand the data set better so that they can use it for their analytics use cases. So painting you a picture. Let's say you are using ClickSense, which is our analytics platform for BI, or any other tool for that matter. You are using your analytics platform. Now, a requirement comes that where you need to bring data from multiple sources and then you need to modernize your analytics, okay? Not just the pipeline, but specific to analytics. Then you have your data sources, which will be coming from multiple systems. Of course, if you are a ClickSense customer, you know that ClickSense within itself can bring data from multiple sources. You can do the data transformation and build the apps on top of it. But let's say your journey is a cloud journey. You are doing the entire data pipeline modernization and you want to move into cloud. Then whatever data you have in cloud, that needs to be available for the BI tools to get the data from. So that's where the catalog comes in. Okay. Now, whatever I'm showing you as highlighted in the blue-green color, that's all the places where Qlik has a play. So for this data to be available in the catalog, you will first need to bring the data from multiple sources, SAP, RDBMS, whatever the sources might be. You need to bring the data, not just bring the data, but bring it in real time. You need to bring the data in real time and then push it into a target cloud. And this way, it is done through a push down SQL. And the data transformation part also is something that we do in our cloud data integration. Once you do the data preparation and the data is ready for analytics consumption, you can put it into the catalog layer and use it for BI, or you can also use it directly into a machine learning layer. Let's say you want to do descriptive, prescriptive analytics. So for that, we also have components like automated machine learning, but I'm not getting into that now. So this is how the whole cycle goes. And we also have application automation, as we call it, to orchestrate that entire flow. You can also use it to do a write backs, write data into third-party platforms, so workflow automation kind of thing also we have over here. So this is the full stack that comes. You move the data in real time, do the data transformation, the preparation, and then you put it in a catalog, use it in a BA layer or into a ML layer, and then finally, based on insight, you can also trigger external workflow automations. Of course, all this being governed, secure, and orchestrated. So takeaway from the presentation. So we are able to do this real-time data ingestion from multiple sources without affecting the performance of the source or the target DB. That is one of the strong points that we have. And right now, maybe you are moving data from one source. Later, you may require to move data from some other sources. So that's where our comprehensive set of sources and targets will help you to make you future-proof also, if you're adding any other data source later. And this entire process is quickly, you can do it in a GUI fashion. So in terms of development and deployment and agility, it is quick, since it's all UI-driven. And of course, enterprise class, that comes without saying. Like I gave the examples of very large data volumes and customers who are using Replicate for data ingestion. So now I would like to call my friend Joravar to speak few words. So Joravar, can you give a brief introduction about yourself and also about Artha, what they have done?
Right, so hi everyone. My name is Zorawar Singh. I head sales for Artha Solutions in APAC. I've been with Artha for close to 6 years now, and I've been in the IT and data space for over 15 years now. Talking about Artha Solutions, we are a global data management company with offices across the locations that you see on the screen. In terms of our partner ecosystem, we obviously work with Qlik, both in terms of data integration and data analytics space. We are also a master VAR and exclusive resellers and a global level platinum partners of Talent, another key player in the data management space.
Sorry to interrupt you there. One more key point I actually missed to mention was that now we are focusing a lot on the data integration. So we are not only now having the real-time data ingestion tool, but we have also announced our intent to acquire Talent. So we are expecting that acquisition to complete soon, which means we'll also have a dedicated ETL tool to do the data transformation. Yeah. Sorry.
Absolutely, no problem. So since with this partnership, we see a lot of value that we can actually add to our customers. We have already done a lot of work on the Talent side as well as on the Qlik. Now with the combination of these two platforms, we see more value proposition for our customers, right? And apart from that, obviously the other players in the data stage, the data management stage, like Snowflake to Cloudera, both AWS and Azure, and all the other platforms that you see on the screen, right? Specifically highlighting, Amrita is, while Artha is a services company, we have our own sister concern product company named Amrita. The focus is again on some of the advanced data management use cases around data quality, master data management, data governance, and reference data management. So we've done a lot of work in this space as well. Talking about our credentials, you'll see we've done like over 250 plus projects, with 50 plus big data lake deployments, 40 plus projects in the space of Customer 360 and MDM alone, which is again one of the highest project deliveries in our partner ecosystem. And also in the data governance space, we are a go-to partners for majority of our OEM partners. We are the #1 partners in the data governance space. Right. Specifically talking about our services portfolio, what we do with our customers. So, we do a lot of reporting, analytics, and of course the data integration and quality kind of work, right? So before we get into the project delivery, of course we work with our customers in terms of strategy and roadmap development, right from helping them setting up the KPIs, the matrices, what are the areas that they should be looking for. Once that is done, then followed by the full life cycle implementation of these projects, right? So again, right from analytics to some of the basic use cases around data integration, data quality, to some advanced data management use cases around data privacy, security, big data analytics, etc.
So from the experience that you guys have had, you've been in the data space for a long time. I'm sure you would have also done a data modernization exercise for many customers. So what are the typical challenges that you see when it comes to the data modernization? Any exercise that a company takes, what are the challenges that come usually in a data modernization exercise? If you can quickly tell that.
So even with so much of advancement and the maturity in the industry, right, we still see some of our customers struggling with some of the basics. For example, everybody knows that, data silos have always been a problem when it comes to data modernization. This which often leads to a lot of duplicacy of record, inconsistent, incomplete reporting, again, without proper knowledge, without proper, hand-holding, sometimes fixing this problem is the biggest problem, right? And then you have data security is another aspect. We have seen data security specifically if, the organization must embark, the rules around the proper data handling. If data is not handled properly, with no proper authorizations, and we know what kind of repercussions it can bring to. Data quality, again, while working on fixing the data silos challenge, this often leads to another problem because, organizations are often maintaining data in different silos. When you merge them, obviously we have same records maintained by different teams, right? So that's another problem that, we see that organizations are very, very careful, but at the same time, they end up encountering this problem, which we have been helping them with, right? Scalability. We know that with ever-increasing data sources and the data volume, organization must also keep in mind that, how they are planning their data integration and modernization use cases so that they can also accommodate.
An entire exercise of data modernization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do you think the data ingestion then comes into the picture? Let's say someone is moving to data lake or into a data warehouse. Where does the benefit come for them in a real-time layer?
So, we have seen again use cases where customers are obviously spending a lot of time, just bringing the data to the common platform, right? With real-time ingestion, we have obviously seen there a lot of customers again. We've been supporting customers from across verticals, from healthcare to BFSI to retail, government sectors, right? So to highlight few of the use cases, I'll talk about one of our customer case studies where we've seen how we've enabled them with this fraud analytics, fraud prevention, just because the team had access to the real-time data. Again, healthcare, we have seen so many use cases where, when the healthcare professionals have the real-time data, they are able to take well-informed decisions. Similarly, e-commerce, we have again seen numerous examples, right, with all these, especially during the special events, like we have seen Black Friday sales. Even in India, we have these, the Great Indian Shopping Festival. So we've seen how the organizations are able to leverage the real-time data, make the well-informed decision, optimize the pricing, their inventory,
Any specific use case that you can probably highlight?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is what I was talking about, right? For one of our banking customers in Asia, when we started working with them, obviously there's, during the initial discovery phase, we saw there's so many challenges, right? That obviously, whenever we see a modernization project, the first thing we come across is multiple data siloed marks, right? In case of banking, we know that there are so many branches, right? There are so many other entities, so we end up, we saw that there's a lot of every line of business has their own data mart. So is the case with the branches, which obviously led to a lot of complex and unreliable reporting because everybody is maintaining their own data. Obviously, then there was one more problem we saw with the bank is they were using a legacy ETL platform, and because of that, some bank-wide report took like almost half a day time to produce. Right, so a couple of use cases that we started with. One was obviously the customer behavior or the customer 360 use case, where we helped the banks build this customer 360 profile. So based on the customer's behavior, the pattern, the expenditure, right? So they were able to analyze or rather convert that real-time interaction of the customer to a real-time marketing opportunity. Right. The second use case is around it was a big data use case where we helped the customer enable the fraud detection, where we saw that there is a the bank was eventually able to generate a report of the accounts where they thought there could be a fraudulent activity, right? That too, they were able to do it in real time, and they were able to at least take an action immediately. So that really, obviously, with the first use case, we saw that there was an increment of 5-fold in terms of customer take-up of the new products and offering that the bank had to offer. The second, obviously, they were able to reduce a lot of fraudulent transactions and activities, right? So that's pretty much about it.
I think with your expertise that you have in the data modernization exercises that you have taken, with Qlik and Artha, what do you think can be the proposition for customers out there?
Right, so we already know, right? I mean, Qlik has been a leader in the space, at least in the data analytics space, and we've done a lot of work in that area, right? In addition to that, we've also seen, with platforms like CDC or Change Data Capture, Qlik replication tool, right, where we have been able to do a lot of real-time integration projects, right? Another area in terms of data modernization from legacy systems, again, this is where we see a big opportunity here, right, in terms of SAP use cases or mainframes integration use cases, where we've really been able to do a lot of work and able to add a lot of value to customer projects, right? The operational efficiency we're talking about, where, with the obviously the efficient data replication, with the availability of data, the reduction in cost of data ingestion. So we've really been able to add a lot of ROI to our customers' projects.
Great. So thank you, Joravar. So that's what we had for the cloud data integration. We have done this implementation successfully for many customers. I'm sure we'll also be able to help in the data modernization journey that we'll be taking up. So maybe quickly we can take few questions.